Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. We will be officially live in just a second. Making a quick post on Instagram, and then we'll be cooking on Instagram Live and YouTube from not amidst the Havoc. I just realized that's what my graphic says, but for before the Havoc Competitors Edition. A lot to talk about today, so hold tight. It's going to be a good one. All right. Now let's hit that Instagram Live button, which I've never pressed before, so hopefully I don't do this wrong. I come in as a black screen for you guys. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't think it's accurate. There we go. That's a little bit more like it. Hope you all are having a good morning. 6:30 a.m. Very brutal, very early. Yikes! But what are you going to do? We're fired up here. We got a lot to talk about. As soon as we get everything shared to the discords and what have you, we're going to be cooking and booking. A lot to talk about. We got um, eight Hobbyweights and Beetleweights that we want to highlight. Put that in the TCC server and the NHRL server. We're officially going. Okay, I think I'm going live. I think that's what that is. I don't know. And there we are, officially live on Instagram. Check that out as we now go to our main camera. That's right, a little bit of a different angle this time. Hopefully my audio is coming out well, guys. If it's not, please let me know. This is the Combot Collective. Welcome here again, bringing everything you want to know from the world of robot combat, from the heavyweight class to the fleetweight class, from BattleBots to the live circuit. I am your host, as always, here on both Instagram and YouTube. Look at that. That's super fancy. Sterling Brown here. Talked about NHRL today, of course, at Before the Havoc. And it's a special one. If you guys don't know, you've been living under a rock, you haven't looked at the TCC pages. It's super weird. I'm looking at two cameras here at once. First time ever. It's a huge day. For the first time ever in the Combot Collective history, we are driving a robot here in this room, the room that you are looking at right now. And the seat that I am in right now, the seat that is sometimes comfortable, sometimes isn't. I'm going to be sitting in that chair and looking at this screen right here. Hello, Duckbot66 on Instagram. And we'll have to see how it goes down. You know, a lot can go wrong. But when we were doing testing yesterday, things seemed like they were running all right. We got through safety. I was able to drive the bot inside the box. Things went well. The telepresence robot went well. We're heads up to anybody watching on Instagram. For the one person that's watching on Instagram right now, if I'm talking about any graphics and you're kind of confused as to what I'm insinuating, we have graphics on our YouTube live stream. So if you want the full visual experience, check out the YouTube live stream. It's in our link tree, in our bio on Instagram. But I figured I would try to go ahead and do the Instagram live because usually chat interaction's a little bit better on that page. Thank you for hopping in, Hector J. Santos. And our YouTube chat's always a little bit dead. No lie there. Let's go ahead and go to our main overlay so you guys can see what I'm seeing here. I think that's that. And then I'm not like zombie mode, which is super nice for once. During one of these live streams, I got up at like 5 a.m. today. What are we not getting here? There we go. That's what I was trying to do. What? No. That's what I wanted to do. There we go. Sorry, technical monkey business. Hello, Blanca Bots on Instagram. Good to see you guys. I guess I should, if I'm in this camera mode, move over and angle it a little bit. Hopefully you guys can still hear me well. Of course, this is amidst the Havoc. I'm sorry, before the Havoc. I always change my show names. So things are going to be as usual. We are going to have a 1 hour delay between some point, not 1 hour delay, I'm sorry. At the top of the hour at 7 a.m., we are going to have to pause the stream because I am going to have to do a safety meeting at the NHRL venue. It's a pretty cool thing. I talked to the captain of Team 57, Alex. He said it shouldn't take that long. It's going to be your basic stuff. All the drivers are going to be called in there. A lot of them already know the whole song and dance. It's going to be some basic stuff like, kind of leaning away from the Instagram guys. I'm sorry about that. It's going to be your basic stuff, safety things, links, how to turn on a fire extinguisher, which, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to need over here. I do have a fire extinguisher, like, on the other side of this wall outside of my apartment. So, you know, just in case, I am safe. But we're going to have a lot of good fun today. With this 19 minutes before I have to go ahead and vanish on you guys for a moment to do that safety meeting or driver meeting or whatever it may be called at NHRL. We got some robots to talk about. We want to talk about the 3-pounders and the 12-pounders pretty quickly before everything gets started here. We get the ball rolling because, hello, NHRL, in the chat. That's super exciting to see. Hello to everybody joining on Instagram Live. This is so thrilling. Having the big channel in the chat. Look at that. That's super cool. Yes, we're going to be talking about the 3-pound class and the 12-pound class before I have to go vanish for a little bit for the drivers meeting. And then after the fact, we are going to be back here to talk about, let's go ahead and pull out the graphic real quick. The Combot Crusader, our robot built by Team 57. I should have put that on the graphic. I put it pretty much everywhere else. For this competition today, as you see here, it's a 45-pound shuffling beast, full body spinner. It is the first ever telepresence robot in the sports history. Obviously not the first telepresence robot ever. And it's going to be fighting at NHRL today, maybe around 10 a.m. Central Time. Don't quote me on that. And it's going to be driven right here in my studio apartment in Texas. Fun fact about this robot, it is actually a Jeep tire rim that has been worn down to the base of the rim some teeth have been welded on it. It's a very keep it simple, stupid kind of bot. It's the spirit of old school robot combat, kind of like a potential opponent that we're going to be facing during this competition, Mr. Roper. Super excited about that. Make sure we're live on all the right pages. My apologies. But of course, not the only class we're going to be talking about today. There are other weight classes in NHRL, including their bread and butter, the 3-pound class. Let's go back to our main overlay here. I don't know if I'm streaming in HD or 480p, and I really don't want to check because I don't want to mess anything up. But, you know, time to look at the 3-pound field here. We're usually go through this one by one. We won't have as much time to do that, but take a brisk look at some of the robots that are going to be signed up. Okay, I thought my post didn't share. I panicked there for a second. I'm sorry. Some of the robots that are signed up for this 3-pound weight class. We got the horizontal spinner Beetlejuice, of course, maybe the top horizontal spinner in NHRL right now in that 3-pound class, Caldera. I actually got to meet Glenn Boxell yesterday in the pit. Super sweet guy. He wished me luck. Best of luck to all the Boxels as well. I think I saw Brian Boxell as well. He might actually be pitted really nearby our team. We were one of the first teams to go through safety, thankfully. And of course, Bots and Stuff Robotics, BNS Robotics, they weren't too far behind. Other robots that are going to be there, of course, Chainsaw Kitty. We'll be talking quite a bit about that robot today. Cemetery Drive, very beautiful robot. I love the purple and black on that robot. Maybe we'll have a little bit more luck than they had the past two events. We got Count Forcula, I believe, showing up for its third straight event. Bit of an underrated robot. I always like watching it fight. Dysfunction, ER Stingray 2. I believe Dysfunction might be from, I think it's from University of Cincinnati, if I remember correctly. I was looking for some info about it, couldn't find it. Eruption is here. We'll be talking about Eruption here in a moment. Hyperdrive, Hurt Caboose, a couple of friends of the Combot Collective there. Middle Miss Doomba, who I believe is in the very first fight of the entire day. Project Liftoff, of course. Great people there. Andrew Casimir. Plenty of great robots here. Scrambled. Silent X. Silent X is a robot. Actually, I believe Silent X might be in limbo. I think we heard something. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that may be in the YouTube chat or anywhere else. I don't believe Jameson Go will be there, or maybe he will be there. I know he was dealing with some FedEx issues yesterday. He was talking about them on the NHRL chat. It might not be FedEx. It might be USPS. It's one of the shipping companies. There's apparently some stuff for his robot. I don't know if it's the robot itself or what the situation actually is, but essentially nothing's showing up until I believe 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central Time today, which really isn't going to do much use for Jameson Go. That's when this whole thing pretty much wraps up, you know? So that's really unfortunate. I don't know if that's his only entry or what his game plan is. Maybe he'll still be around. I'd love to get a chance to talk to him today. I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out. Other robots that are going to be there, Stag Beetle Bot, Subtraction. We'll be talking about Subtraction here in just a moment. The Reaper, Timber. Timber is super awesome. I'm glad Team Sus Robotics is still coming in to all these events. Tomato Soup, they have a very interesting first round matchup that we're going to be talking about. Verticalizer, one of the most unique designs from the New Bots event last January. Thagomizer, Maximizer style design with the double vertical spinners on the tail. Thank you for joining the Instagram live video, Mad Key. Of course, Wormhole is here. Another great friend of the Combot Collective, always endorsed by one of our closest friends, Tony D'Ambrosio. And that's a solid field of robots, but who should we be focusing on most? Instagram live people, we're cutting to a graphic here. If you want to check out the YouTube page to really know what we're talking about here in a better detail. But these are 4 robots, 2 vertical spinners, 2 horizontal spinners that I am looking out for. Maybe not the most diverse field, but definitely a very meta group of robots that we're talking about here. Subtraction. Maybe I need to get a drink. I think the mouth's still too dry. We're going to be brisk about this. I got to take my break to see the driver's meeting in about 13 minutes. Maybe I will try to live stream it. I don't know what the protocol is for that. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Verticalizers by ASML, which I believe have quite a few robots in this competition. Nope, I'm sorry. It is just Verticalizer. Is ASML the same people that made copyright infringement from RoboGames? I feel like I've heard of that school before. let me go ahead. Let's go back to the main overlay here so you guys can see what I'm doing here. There's like a RoboGames wiki, right? I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, here we are. Sorry, I'm already getting sidetracked. Not from the same team. I'm sorry, Maddocky. I'm getting my school, college robots mixed up. I do apologize about that. Let's go ahead and close those two pages out. Nonetheless, Verticalizer, one of the most fascinating robots from the New Bots event, did shockingly well despite having such a complicated design as we take a look at some of the fights that are going to be happening very early in the 3-pound class. Like I said, we're kicking off today with Little Miss Doomba versus Wormhole. Grim Ripper, another robot that I am a fan of. Friends of Baby Grim, in fact. That's what ASML is from, so that's where we know them from. It is a semiconductor company in Norwalk. Noted. Okay. Sounded like a school, so that just shows my knowledge with some teams. I do apologize about that. Some of the other fights, looks like Cemetery Drive is going to be taking on Ben in the first round. Impact, a robot I was actually going to highlight, but I couldn't find a good transparent picture of it. Taking on Kill It With Fire. Impact, of course, coming from Lars of Jetlag fame. This is going to be a very well-driven robot. But let's go ahead and go back to our 3-pounder graphic here. A lot of hype has been around Seth Schaefer's Subtraction 2.0. Someone I was actually chatting about with Robot Safety the other day on the NHRL Discord. Had a good talk with him. We have Subtraction 1.0 pictured here. Not the robot that we are going to be seeing inside of the arena today. Of course, 4-wheel drive, horizontal spinner. I do believe there is a lifter configuration as well. I don't know if that's still intended for the 2.0 version of the robot, but this is from Seth Schaefer. It's kind of using that SSP kit base, as we see here. 2 thick forks on the front, deadly horizontal spinner. I believe it's going to be taking on a robot very similar to it. Yes, Tomato Soup in the first round. We'll be talking a little bit about that fight here at, I want to say, the end of the stream. I want to say we have some highlight matches that I want you guys to check out during the qualifier rounds before we hop into prime time. But let's go ahead and move to the next robot. Subtraction is very low ranked in the NHRL totem pole, number 382. And I don't know if that rank actually carries over when a robot has a sequel like Subtraction 2.0. So maybe it's technically a rookie for all I know. Let's talk about some double-digit rank robots here, starting with Wormhole. Of course, Wormhole may be most infamous for being the robot that got melted to pieces for the first time by a mixtape when that robot debuted year before last. But Wormhole is no joke. Of course, we've had Tony D'Ambrosio on here before in the chat and on video defending this robot, supporting it, and we've seen it firsthand. This robot's a real deal. You know, we don't have a crazy amount of super effective horizontal spinners inside the NHRL arena outside of, you know, your main ones like Silent X and Caldera, but Wormhole definitely has made an impact for himself. We've shown graphics and videos of the robot in the past on the YouTube channel. We've seen it evolve. It used to be this boxy horizontal spinner fighting, you know, little rudimentary axe spots in early NHRL days, but now it's a fantastic looking little robot. We've seen it compete all around the US in, you know, RoboGames, NHRL, of course, other events, and we've seen it do well. You know, it has the cleated wheels, has a solid horizontal spinner, usually has some good reliability, should be very solid. I believe we just saw them. We had to have the very first battle of the entire NHRL competition today at 9 a.m., 8 a.m. Central Time, ripe and early. We might end up watching that video, that battle on TCC right here if the live stream doesn't end before then, taking on Little Miss Doomba. That's going to be super good. Don't know anything about Little Miss Doomba. I got to admit, we're just going to have to see how that goes. Thank you to Team Phoenix, GOA, and Fly It Solo for joining the chat today. On Instagram, we have some people on the YouTube live as well. It's good to see you guys. This is such a great time. Things are going smoothly as we continue to talk about maybe my prediction for who is going to win the championship in the 3-pound class today. This robot is certainly due something. Chainsaw Kitty from Kiza Sky of the Sleepy Anime Girl Club Robot Combat Team. I think I saw them as well yesterday. They might be at the same pit table as us. I wasn't too observant. Classic 4-wheel drive vertical spinner. 2 long forks, very similar to Subtraction. But if you know NHRL, and in fact, if you know the Combot Collective, because we've talked about this robot before in the past, in a bit of detail on our November preview video, if I do remember correctly. This robot, despite being a single-digit rake at NHRL, one of the most successful, consistent, and dominant robots we saw last year during its very impressive rookie campaign, and all-star, in fact, as we saw in December for the all-star event. Still no NHRL finals appearance. Last year, you had to win. You had to make it to the final four to qualify for the NHRL finals, and unfortunately, despite showing up at literally every event and the November event before that, Chainsaw Kitty was unable to break into the semifinals despite making the Elite Eight at a few tournaments. I remember one time was really heartbreaking. They lost against Spartan from Andrew Sumpas. I'm not Andrew. I'm sorry. Who the hell is Andrew Sumpas? Johnny Sumpas. My apologies. Jesus. Morning Voice came out there. It's going to be a tough field, a stacked field, as we've already talked about. Quite a few solid robots, impacts here, wormholes here, maybe Silent Springs here. I guess that one's still up for debate. Beetlejuice is here, Hyperdrive is here, Hurt Caboose is here. A lot of very solid robots. So Chainsaw Kitty should face a little bit of adversity, but in my opinion, probably is the best pick to win the division. We're going to get to my championship picks at the end of the stream, but it's definitely a robot that you need to look out for. Finally, we have Eruption, NHRL rank number 53, and actually a last-minute addition to the competition, apparently. If we go ahead and go over to our TCC overlay real quick ski here, I believe if we look up Eruption, we have a comment from Brian Boxall stating, I feel like if I just looked up Eruption, this would have been a lot easier to do. I just tried to look up his name. Sorry, y'all, for the pause. Here we are. This is the post I'm looking for right here. Let's go ahead and jump to it on our TCC screen. Last minute edition, Eruption is going to fight this weekend. We had to drop Barbie and Ken, unfortunately, due to machine shop access failing at machining our weapons. Very unfortunate for the team. Eruption will run no flywheel, though, since they didn't have time to make the mini-bot. Very unfortunate. No mini-bot, no weight bonus. I guess no internal flywheel on Eruption, which I honestly didn't know it had. I thought that was just a fireball thing. Eruption, though, is going to be showing up here. Year before last, Eruption was the real deal at NHRL. During 2022, we saw it beating robots like the Brazilian Twin Beasts in the July final. The machine looked great. It was like single-digit ranked pretty much the entire year. Kind of a downfall year last year for BNS Robotics, though, unfortunately, with Eruption and Fireball, at least in the 3-pound class. 5 minutes to driver's meeting. Noted. Gotcha. So we will have to take a pause here in about 5 minutes, but hold tight. We will be back to talk about the 12-pounders in detail. As you see, we got some robots to chat about here, but let's go ahead and jump back to Eruption real quick. Eruption, of course, great year in 2022. Not the best year in 2023. Eruption fell all the way down to rank number 53, which isn't terrible. Of course, Wormhole, rank number 60, is still in that top 50 window, but it's not the best, of course. We'll have to see what ends up happening with Eruption today. Since the field's middling, maybe they'll have a chance to make a run. Maybe they'll surprise some people, turn some heads, get deep into the bracket. It looks like their first battle is going to be up against Splash, a robot I'm not too familiar with. So I guess we're going to have to see what happens there. Thank you for hopping into live stream, Team Godfather and Gurav Kolode. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Very interesting field of robots here. Like I mentioned, 2 horizontal spinners, 2 vertical spinners, leaning towards Chainsaw Kitty as a favorite of mine. Might be the highest ranked robot competing today. As we'll take a look at the 12-pounders very briskly. I won't talk too much about them in detail just yet, since I do have to hop on this owner's meeting here. Why do I keep saying owner's meeting? Driver's meeting in a couple of moments. In fact, I probably should go ahead and boot up Skype ahead of time, shouldn't I? Just to play it safe. There we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. For the 12-pound class, the Hobbyweight class, a class that's really been dominated by either Team Defective or the University of Cincinnati over the past 2 years. We got some solid robots here. Avalanche is back. Blackjack from Andrew Davis is back. It's super excited to see them. Maybe they'll be able to make that run to the finals today. Burt is there. Bubble Blitz, of course, another very popular team in the 12-pound class. Team Honeycrack, they are there with Bumble Blitz. Butterbot, Caldera 12. Had a little bit of a disappointing event at the New Bots event in January. I think a lot of people, myself included, had them going far. Didn't do the best. Very unfortunate. The Creature, we'll be talking about that robot in a second. Doppelgator, very, very solid robot, comes from Gator Robotics out of the University of Florida. They've made some very solid robots in the past, like Hooligan, and who can forget Mechanical Advantage, who started off as 2022, 21-0. That was a huge deal. Grim Ripper, of course, we highlighted them last stream in the January event. They did shockingly well. Feel like they got screwed over on one judge's decision. Hopefully they can bounce back here. Great people. Maximizer and Milk Tank, of course. Plusle and Minun. For all our Pokemon fans out there. I know I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go lately. Prom Hada, surprisingly, not many Team Defective robots. Prom Hada kind of carrying the flag this time around, of course, with the fantastic driver Zach Knight behind the wheel. 12-pound Pragic Liftoff. Ratchet, a brand new robot we've seen tested in some videos on the NHRL server. Self-running tests and what have you. RoboCap, don't know what this robot is, but I love the name. Same with Tough Love and Weather Report in all caps. Very interested to see what those designs are from UCCR, questionable designs, and holy shit, wow. Leanne Cushing, would you look at that? In fact, yeah, Tough Love is from the NHRL All-Stars event. What am I talking about? I know that. So I think that's going to be the first time Tough Love will be fighting inside a traditional NHRL competition. Something to look forward to. Something that actually slipped under my nose until now. That's exciting. Hopefully Leanne Cushing does well. Hello, Evidin AC on the Instagram Live. Welcome. Glad you can make it in. We're going to have to take a pause here in just a second. In fact, I'm going to have to vanish, do the builders meeting, and then I will be right back. So guys, please do not go anywhere. I'm going to turn off the Instagram Live. I am going to pause the live stream. If you want, stay in chat, keep hanging out. As long as it doesn't affect me, maybe you guys can hear what's going on in the background. We'll have to see. But we will be right back here at the Combot Collective. Please don't go anywhere. I mean, I know we only got like 5 people here. But please don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in just a moment. Go into intermission. Get your breakfast because it's early, guys. It is very early. Instagram Live people, I'll be right back doing the safety meeting for the drivers. It shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. If it is, we'll factor in some overtime to run back. But yes, we will be right back, guys. See y'all in just a moment. I am going to... Nothing personal. I just don't know if this, like, confiscated information. You know what I mean? I don't want to leak anything. Put like music on for you guys, like elevator music.
Yeah, dude. Hey, good morning. All right, like you don't need to talk much. So this is, safety meeting and anyways,
Morning.
and
Can everyone see and everyone hear me? You can't hear me.
we're camped so close by, you could actually see it.
Welcome everyone to March 2024. Thanks for being with us here. We have any new builders? Anyone who's either new to Combot Robotics or just new to NHRL? Let's get a great count. Thanks for fighting with us. We hope you guys have a great time. And interactive community, if you need help, we've got a really great builder base here. If you need anything, just chat, ask around, ask the test. Have a great time. We're going to focus on safety information, starting with pit safety basics. Everyone in the pits should have their driver badge or builder wristband. If you don't have one, you'll be asked to return to the first floor as a spectator, so make sure you're wearing that as well. While working in the pits, use appropriate PPE. Make rounds to ensure that everyone's taking proper precautions when working on their robots. 3D printers, drills, hand tools, and soldering are all allowed. However, anything that creates spark or shrapnel should be done in the grinding tent or in the workshop downstairs. Grinding tent is that red curtained area. As a reminder, drive and swim tests are not allowed anywhere except in the test box. To do it, safety and emergency materials are located on supply tables located around the pits and on the shelf by box inspection. Use what you need, but make sure that anything that is use what you need, but make sure that anything that can be reused gets put back. In addition to the supplies laid out on the tables, additional CO2 extinguishers are located around in pillars around the pits. Extinguishers have been, APC extinguishers specifically have been distributed to NHRL staff at pit control and safety. There's also an AED along the back wall, starting on the front and outside, if you need it. And there's an EMT on standby. If you need them and can't find them, talk to pit control or get them on radio. Exits and evacuation. Just make note of your nearest exits. If for some reason we need to evacuate the building, a call will be made over the intercom, which will
just like you gotta finesse it like to the side, right? Not like Hello?
Thank you, Jimmy, for my voice. Find your nearest exit. There's a call made over the intercom. That's your cue to find the nearest exit and exit the building in an orderly fashion. If you have an origin hazard sticker on your driver badge, your entry is qualified as a hazard robot and must use the hazard area as a designated space for loading or unloading fuels or extra charges, airbags, or pressurizing or depressurizing gases in your bot. It's located behind build check-in in the loading dock downstairs, so you've all passed it. Later, that's that area. Also, the area where we're going to be using. It's also the area that will be used if your robot is rushed out of the building due to a fire. You'll have a check-in there with some of our inspectors. Checking the batteries. Make sure you're checking your batteries for swelling and damage before charging them. When charging a battery, make note of the nearest sand bucket or have a lipo-safe bag on hand. Do not leave charging batteries on the table. You may leave them on the computer. Somebody must be at the table with them. If you have a bad battery, put it in one of the sand buckets, not the big parks around here, or a saltwater bath in the hazard area, and we'll dispose of them. Battery fires in the pits may result in immediate disqualification if we deem that safety precautions or necessary precautions have not been taken. A fire risk is a situation in which a component or substance of it is likely to ignite, spark, or produce fumes. In case of a fire risk, keep your robot or compromised components to a fume hood, the hazard area, or out of the building via the loading dock as quickly and safely as possible by transporting it in a sand bucket or sand cart. Once at a safe location, find a safety inspector or fire marshal. Together, you'll review your components, make the system safe, and properly dispose of anything that will be hazardous. We have 3 fume hood locations. One of them is centrally located right here. The second is a backup. It is the large cage in the safety area. If that is the closest one you can get to in case of an emergency, you're free to use that. If somebody is in there with their bot, have them drive their bot to the opposite side of the cage and get the hazard in there. The third is located in the back corner. So there are now 3 located. You're about 100 to 150 feet within one of the take points. Power them on. For this one, the switch is along the pillar. Move your robot under. Turn the switch on and flip the visor down. If you don't have a fire emergency, aside from right now, if you don't have a fire emergency that needs to be one, you should otherwise be out of the area on the floor. So it's marked. For now, you guys are okay. The one in the corner back there has a pink arrow showing where the switch powered on is. See where Thomas is? Thomas, would you go ahead and power that on? Thank you. It is on the bench itself. Sorry, on the fan itself. But it is also marked. Yes? Fairly noticeable. Yeah. Yeah, if you have an emergency, help someone. In case of an active fire, in the case for test gauges, control the situation as simply as possible, alert those around you, and discard your CO2 extinguisher or the fire. If the area is too crowded, you can't safely or effectively use an extinguisher, you can instead use a fire blanket to smother the fire, and move to a location where you then can use the fire extinguisher. CO2 extinguishers and ABC extinguishers. We have two different kinds here. The majority of them are CO2 extinguishers. And they are easily distinguishable by a large glass nozzle, and they also say carbon dioxide on them. ABC extinguishers are only located with NHRL officials. That's the only thing you can get to in the event of a fire. That's what's closest at hand. In absolute emergency, you're okay to use them. Otherwise, the first CO2. Let's say that's on fire. The operation of a fire extinguisher is very simple. Pull the plastic tag off. Remove the pin. Point the nozzle at the base of the fire, starting from about 8 to 10 feet away. Pull the trigger, and as I'm pulling the trigger, I'm going to move closer slowly and within reason to the fire. Hold it for about 5 seconds, at least. If you need a little bit more, you need a little bit more. There's plenty of use. If you need spares, again, they're located around. We can read up them from the safety area and from the access. For safety inspection, all robots need to be inspected. That also goes for robots that are only being used in 2000 methods. When you pass safety, our reps will put a safety pass sticker on your team rep's ID badge. This badge comes with you for all your matches. All robots must have weapon locks and need to be on your bot unless you are in the cage or the cage manager that's giving you the okay to remove it, or actively working on your weapon. As part of the inspection process, there is space on front of the form to disclose alternate configurations. Generally, list anything that changes the way you engage with your opponent. For instance, the weapon types, possible naming of multi-knots, and other peripherals. You should disclose if you have multiple weapon systems, like going from a blitz to a flamethrower, possible multi-knot configuration, or if you have plans to add on, like an academic class or a critical balloon person. You don't need to disclose things like different fork lengths, armors, and top plates. When going for inspection, please bring your robot in its heaviest configuration, along with any spare robots and mid-bots. Remember, safety reps may ask questions about if necessary, so you may be asked to go and come back. We're going to take a moment to introduce all of our staff that you'll be working with, starting with our pit control. Safety staff. Individuals from the fire marshals and fire department. closely to calls from our pit control team or the intercom that your bot is called. Send a representative to check in ASAP. The round 1 schedule has been posted and sent out in the building email. The listed times are the approximate time of the fight, not the check-in time. So know what your match is. Be proactive about checking in. I'll also be calling you as soon as the meeting's over. Thought will be periodically checking in with you, but if you're ready early, be proactive and let them know. What's in the bracket? We'll guarantee 20, 25, and 30 minutes in our 3, 12, and 3-pound classes, respectively. Early in the bracket, you may have more time between matches. As the day proceeds, that time will narrow. The turnaround will essentially get shorter. We'll always have at least your 20, 25, or 30 minutes. Remember, if time spent in bits, it's just as important as the time it engages, so include your repair time equally. Lastly, remember, if a robot is brought down to the cage, it is locked in. If it's non-functional or unresponsive, we'll defer to the rulings as outlined in the new TCO point system. So familiarize yourself with that. If you aren't yet, we have copies of the rulebook, both at safety and desk here, and if you have any questions. When queuing for your match, when you transmit, the robot will be called driver badge, and the wristband, and any tools you need to power your bot on. Remember, we're only allowed to burn the number of reps, the number of transmitters you need to control your bot, plus 1. When loading in, follow the directions of the page manager. They'll lead you to the cage and prompt you to prepare your robot in the correct order. We may also be running multiple cages in close proximity, so it will be loud. Do not under any circumstances drive your robot before the doors are closed. And if you hear a call, but you're unsure if it is your rep, just look at the rep. Try to familiarize yourself with their voice. There is a quick text update. I want to make sure I get everybody here. Okay. If a match goes to the judges, the system will now log it as a poll and display a random winner. The winner shown during this time is not official, it is just how the system is processing it. For the official results, you'll want to check the true finals bracket. It may take a moment for this to happen, it may take several minutes. So just be patient, you can ask the fit desk. We don't know either. We know what information. So be patient with that. There are QR codes located around the pits with the bracket information. So scan those, that will bring you to the bracket. It goes to a link tree. The link tree will have 3 pounds free service, 3 pounds service bracket, 12 pounds free. So you're looking for the free bracket site first, and then one search will but those bring to the exhibition site, so they're technically free bracket sites. Once we announce the bracket has been made, then you can look at the bracket, and that will go up to the circuit. First matches will be starting at 9 o'clock. Listen carefully, because we're going to start establishing 2 separate priority lines. The first is for hazard robots. If you're a hazard robot, meet me here. Actually, no, meet me by the exit over there, behind safety, right after that. Any robot that is in the first 15 matches should check in with the pit desk immediately after this. I'll be calling you to let you know. And if you have not set safety yet, and you're in those first 15 matches, you should move to the safety line now. All right, let's have a great tournament, guys.
What's that? Yeah. We're just charging it, and like he's in Texas, so it's Central Time, so he's just plus he wants to do like a stream stuff, like whatever. All right. That's him. He's going to be controlling it. So, all right, let's That's right. All right, so.
So
He can't. This guy can't see me. I feel really bad. I'm like waving at him and stuff, and he's like, "Man, this thing don't work." It's OBS. I promise. It will work later if you guys run into me in the pits. It will work later. I'm gonna. Don't mess anything up doing that. And go back to this graphic here. I think we're good. I think we're good. Let me go ahead and message him and let him know that that's what I'm going to do, so he doesn't think I've ditched him. Where is his number? There it is. I really should save him. There we go. Now we're good. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Kind of like how I anticipated, about a 15-20-minute meeting. Went all right. Hey, it was cool. I got to let you guys peep in and see what was going on with it. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Just sort of a look at what the owner meetings. Why do I keep saying owner meetings? I'm so used to baseball. What the driver meetings are like, as I boot back up Instagram Live here. Pretty straightforward. They just told us the basic stuff, how the judging criteria works. Okay, well, I guess I can't. Oh, well. Go ahead and put Instagram Live back on. And there we go. Hello, everybody. Instagram Live once again. We are now back on live officially. And we had the owners meeting. I did it again. The drivers meeting. Jesus. We had the drivers meeting, and it was pretty straightforward. If you were on YouTube, you could see video of the drivers meeting, not necessarily the audio. Maybe for the first few minutes, I didn't know what was going to get discussed, so I wasn't trying to have it be too loud. But let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. We got about 40 minutes before NHRL kicks off, so we got a little bit of time to talk about the 12-pound class and the 30-pound class. And one person I am most excited to finally see compete again after not being able to compete in January is Jake Hoffman with Maximizer. Thank you guys for joining in on the live stream on Instagram. Talis, TSS, Blanca Beast, M Smile, all of you guys, thank you so much. I actually almost ran into this guy. I have a video of the Telepresence robot in action I'm going to show you guys later. I almost ran into Jake Hoffman at one point, so that was terrifying. They are ranked number 1 right now with Maximizer, a phenomenal design. If you haven't seen these Stagamizer style weapons before in the past, they are really taking over the sport. Very much like Stagamizer, like Verticalizer, like Minimizer. This robot, it's a thwack bot, has that big spinner on the back, has that huge spinner killer plow on the front. It's driven about as well as it can be driven, representing the University of Cincinnati. It's a fantastic robot, looks the part. Really do want to see a heavyweight version of it one day. Thank you for joining the live stream, Cyberjam. And it really does look like it's kind of like Chainsaw Kitty. It feels like, for the most part, outside of a couple choice opponents, it's going to be fighting uncontested, really, in this competition. I really do believe so. You know, a lot of new robots, a lot of unproven machines. Like I went over the field of robots just before the drivers meeting. There's some robots that might held up to it, like Blackjack, like Caldera 12, like Promhita, who we have at the bottom. I'll discuss that robot in a second. Maybe Project Liftoff 12 or even Tough Love if Leanne Cushing got that robot dialed in. There's a few robots that might be able to stop it, but Maximizer looking as solid as ever. Maybe one robot that will shock it is the Creature. This is a brand new robot from a guy who also has a 30-pounder, I believe, called the Beast. If that robot's also a control bot, that might be a fun thing to fight with the Combot Crusader. The creature, though, it looks the part. Very pretty, rounded design, very sturdy. It has a lifter on the front, kind of shades of Deadblow's old lifter that it rarely used. 2 forks, reaches out a little bit. Hopefully, the only worry I have with a weapon design like that is, say if it was trying to lift a robot like Promheta from the rear, I would worry about maybe the nose coming forward and maybe the weight of its opponent being too much. Maybe you would have trouble lifting it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely baseless in that thought and the angle of the picture is wrong. Thank you for checking out the stream, Ethan Callan, Daniel Freitas of Minotaur fame. Wow, hello. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful morning, hyping ourselves up, getting prepared for NHRL March, where the Combot Crusader will be fighting, being driven from our studio here in Abilene, Texas. We don't really have too many cluster bots in the field today. One robot that the creature should be able to flip over, though, Plusalin Minan from Team Honey Cracked. This is such an awesome robot. This picture is outdated, I do believe. I'm pretty sure. I think I saw some pictures of Jake Hoffman shared on the NHRL server. Here we are. In fact, perfect timing. Go over to this overlay. Some sort of new graphics are being made for the robot. I don't know what exactly is going on here. I don't know if they're becoming horizontal spinners. It kind of looks like the top of a horizontal spinning robot. That might be baseless, though. It is a two-way robot, though, and we know two-way robots, maybe not the most successful in the heavyweight class. We haven't seen much luck with them recently with robots like Gemini, the Twins, Backflip, and Palace in the UK. There's a few robots that, I already said the Twins, Crash and Burn. Really hasn't been that successful in the heavyweight class, but if you look at, like, not Polywog, what is it called? Polyester in the 30-pound class, you can still make a competent cluster bot in these smaller big bot classes. So we'll see if maybe Plusalin Minan can strike some luck today. They are NHRL ranked number 43. They've been average at best at all their events. They were having some weapon issues and drive issues really during its first event, so it's not perfect. Hopefully we can see it boost here because I do love a good Pokemon themed robot. I think my pick to win this event, though, is Promheta. Now, I do know Maximizer has pretty much had Team Defective's number, whether it be Krunk, Yob Null, Promheta, Voxel for the most part. But Zach Knight's a very solid robot. He's all business, as you can tell by all the Team Defective robots. Ranked number 16. This is a former event winner. Didn't have the best year last year. I think we're going to see Promheta turn around this time. I think they're going to win the championship today. I really do believe so. We won't have official winner predictions till later. But that's kind of where I'm sitting on them. Zach Knight being the real force, the real robot to watch out for. My pick to win a division in the 12-pound Hobbyweight class, a class that was kind of dominated by the horizontal spinner last year. And speaking of horizontal spinners, you gotta watch out for Maximizer. I still wouldn't count him out as a potential championship spot, but I'd be shocked if one of those two robots don't get an invitation to the November finals this by the time this event is over. I guess only time will tell. We'll have to see what happens with them. But there's 4 very exciting robots. Taking a quick look at the qualifier battles for the 12-pounders. One of the most exciting ones, one that we'll be talking about later at the end of the stream, is Maximizer versus Caldera 12. We have Grandeur versus Project Liftoff 12. Plusalin Minan versus Weather Report. Judging by the names, that should be a very fun battle. Grim Ripper. Much love to Grim Ripper, of course. They're taking on Dumbot. Tough Love is taking on Promheta. 2 East Coast builders right there, Leon Cushing and Zach Knight, meeting up against one another. I want to say that's horizontal spinner versus vertical spinner. I might be incorrect. Butterbot versus ambiguously dynamic duo. Avalanche versus Steggy. Creature versus Bert. Ened's versus Revenge. Ened's Revenge versus Robocats. I don't know who Ened is. Milk Tank versus Doppelgator. That's a good one. Blackjack versus Ratshit should be a very interesting battle between 2 vertical spinners. And then Bumbleblitz versus Killer Whale, a whale versus a bee. On paper, doesn't seem like it would be an even fight between animals, but we do have a 12-pound whale and a 12-pound bee, so maybe things will be a little bit different for our insect friend. But now, we've gone over the 12-pound robots, the 3-pound robots, and we do have our predictions. We will go back to them before the stream is over. Chainsaw Kitty and Promheta 2 vertical spinners. That's who I think's winning those respective classes today. But I know why you guys are here, if you are here, maybe all 5 of you, on Instagram or on YouTube. And that is because we are making a little bit of history here today as we now move on to talk about our robot and the whole 30-pound class. Let's talk about the Combot Crusader. I went over this robot a little bit in the top of the video, but let's go over the stats again. Built by my buddy Alex and Andre at Team 57. Fantastic people. Genius people, by the way. I hung out with them on Skype for like 10 minutes, and I already could tell like my brain was outclassed by these guys. They're phenomenal, and you can tell they're geniuses with the robot they've brought. My apologies, gosh. With the robot they've brought to the event for me to drive, and I couldn't be more happy. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It literally looks like a massive version of our TCC saw blade logo. I am so giddy over it. It weighs in at 45 pounds, making it the heaviest robot tied at the entire NHRL event today. Of course, that means it is a shuffling locomotion robot. Uh-oh, apparently I have some volume issues. Let me see if I can... Hopefully I'm coming out good to you guys. Let me see if I can fix my mic here a little bit. Do a little bit of that. See if we can make it better. I think that's better. I don't want to peak. There we go. I think that's about as good as that's going to get. The Combot Crusader, of course, shuffling locomotion, since it does have that 15-pound weight bonus. Almost a lightweight in its weight, which is awesome, just to have that 45-pound mass. Controlling it from here in Texas, that's going to be awesome. And, of course, given the fact that it is a telepresence robot, as you can see by that note in the bottom of the page, maybe not the easiest thing to drive. In fact, let me show you a video that I showed some people yesterday of my experience driving in the pits area, pretty much.
See what I can do here.
Here we are,
as I try to
checking this out here. This is what I was
over.
doing
I don't know
yesterday,
where I'm
pretty
going.
much, when I was driving. This isn't the combat robot, obviously. This is the... Sorry, I think you were getting some feedback there for a second, y'all. This is what I was driving pretty much. This is what you're going to see me driving in the pits pretty much. This is not the combat robot, but the telepresence robot that my face is on the screen of. I don't think it was on during the driver's meeting, but that was because I had OBS on. So you will be able to see me in the pits looking around, all that jazz. And this is sort of an experience of what I was driving yesterday. Getting used to the robots. Here we got some homies throwing away some trash. And it's funny, I was describing it to my family yesterday. It's a little bit like being inebriated. If you're on Instagram Live right now, check out the YouTube live stream. That's what I'm going over some footage I took yesterday. Because you have like a half-second delay to all of your actions. You move slowly. You can only move a little bit forward at the time. I'm not complaining, by the way. This is very rudimentary technology that we're debuting here. We want to make it better every single time. But like a drunk person, a pulled-out chair is just a pulled-out chair if you're walking around the pits normally. But for me, as you can see here in this video, it is a proper hazard. A challenge of my livelihood that I had to avoid. Now, we were just talking about Maximizer. I almost run into Jake Hoffman here on accident. In my mind, I'm cycling through right here thinking, oh gosh, I need to get by these people. I am terrified. This is spooky. How do I get by these people? I have like a 2-foot window I gotta slip through in this clunky robot body. But I digress. And here we can also get a good look at how I control both the combat robot and the telepresence robot. You would think maybe a joystick or a keyboard, but the fancy thing about how this robot works, both the combat robot and the telepresence robot, is that it runs off DMTF tones. So you can't hear it in the video, obviously, but all these little keypads that you're seeing on screen make certain noises, kind of similar to the noise a phone makes when you dial in a phone number. That boop, 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 boop kind of noise. All those noises are connected to the system. So when they hear that noise, it registers the noise to the direction that I have on my keyboard, my keypad here. So if it hears like boop, it means like, all right, I need to go forward. And I have 6 options for moving around. I have 6 options for moving my camera. As you can see, whenever I need to make a movement with the robot itself, I have to do a second command called send to make sure I don't send in a miss input, I guess I could say. And there Jake Hoffman backs up for like half a second, and it scared the crap out of me. I thought I was going to run into him. So if he's watching this somehow, I do apologize. I was not trying to run into you. I was sweating right here. But this is kind of just a real quick showcase of like what's the what I'm going to be driving. Here we go. Someone discovers me here at the end of this little video I took. And is like, I got to see what this is. I feel horrible because I have no clue who this guy is. I know I've seen him before on stream a couple of times. But he was just big chilling. He just said hello, asked me how I was, all of that stuff. And I'm like, hey, I feel like I'm walking inebriated here. Don't mind me. Don't if I bump into anything, I do apologize. It's a super fancy setup. One thing that if you did see me yesterday, you may have noticed, I was a little bit on the quiet side. I believe Team 57 is working on that as we speak, so hopefully that won't be an issue. But now that you've seen how it looks from my point of view, how the controls work and everything, let's go ahead and get back to the robot itself. So this, like I said, the Combot Crusader. Now that you see why how the controls are the way they are, with the delay of input, with the fact that it's a keypad control, that's kind of why we went with the full body spinner design. You don't need to worry about precision aim. You don't need to worry about lining up the vertical spinner or the horizontal spinner or the axe or the flipper or the lifter or whatever it may be. I'm a Beyblade. I don't have to worry about that. I'm all good. I can just... Oh, hey! Oh, Team Phoenix, you saw me yesterday. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you got to say hi. If I no-sold you, I do apologize. Be sure to come by and say hi again. Team 57's desk will be over by the pit booth. So we'll be over there. I'll be hanging out all day. I'm going to have my laptop watching the NHRL stream, hanging out at the pits, driving around the pits a little bit, saying hi to everyone, chatting it up, answering questions, promoting Team 57 and the Combot Collective. Good luck to you guys, by the way, Team Phoenix. It's glad to see that you guys made it down for this competition. In fact, you know, while we're here, let's go ahead and see if we can find you. What robot are y'all with? I looked up Team Phoenix. I don't see y'all, but maybe y'all are just helping with the team. I digress. We'll go ahead and go and look at some of the other things I have listed for the 30-pound class. So, obviously, we're in the 30-pound class. It's a 13 robot class this time around. And we know our first opponent. We know we have two options for our first opponent right now. It's going to be one or the other. We don't know who, but we know which two robots to expect. And thankfully, they're two robots that we are very excited to fight. I have right here, I'm not going to dispel any strategy, mainly because I'm not the most strategic of people. I feel like he might have more strategy, the Team 57 folks, better more so than I do. But I got 4 robots that I am excited to fight, 4 robots I am petrified to fight with this design. And of course, we got some of the more fun robots that we would want to fight right here. Starting off with the robot that we are actually listed as our first opponent. As it stands right now, of course, these things can change very easily, obviously, and that is Project Liftoff. Project Liftoff, the last time these guys have competed in the 30-pound class, it was the year before last. They had Liftoff 2, I believe, or Liftoff Squared, I believe the proper name is, and it wasn't the best. Project Liftoff is a lot more like the 3-pound version. In fact, we have the 3-pound version pictured here since it's a lot similar. Pretty much just a lot bigger, a lot bulkier. I actually got to see it in the pits yesterday. It is about, if I had to go to me, it's probably about like this big in my hands. It is like holding a large pizza, judging from when Alex from the team had it in his hands. It's a big robot, but the team has brought a 3-pounder, a 12-pounder, and a 30-pounder. They put priority on the 12 and 3-pounder. So from when we were talking to the team Liftoff yesterday, it seems like they really weren't sure if that they were going to be able to get Project Liftoff ready for our first round fight. They were leaning towards no, though. I would give it about a 10% chance that it will work. Oh my goodness, I just got a message from Luke. I am so excited. Even if you don't see my robot today, apparently you might run into me on the stream at some point. I'm gonna keep that tight lip though because that's super exciting. I really hope it goes well there. Project Liftoff though might be our first opponent. I would give it a 10% chance right now. The team is focusing on a 12-pounder and a 3-pounder. I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But if they do decide to pull out, we get a bye. We get one free win, and then we're going to move on to take on Mr. Roper. And I couldn't be more excited, y'all. I could not be more excited to fight Mr. Roper. Mr. Roper is one of only 4 returning robots in this competition today. So they received a seed, shockingly enough, number 29. Actually, I shouldn't say shockingly enough. That's rude. They won 2 fights last event. Them and their crazy people, the New Zealand driver, Tom Farkas, all those dudes. They're awesome people. Mr. Roper's an awesome robot. We got the speed square, mustache, anti-spinner wedge. We got the toolbox body, the rusty style hammers. It seems like it would be the perfect robot for the Combot Crusader to fight. I don't have to worry about damage. I don't have to worry about a lot of things. One thing I do worry about Mr. Roper, though, is it's a mini bot. It has that McDonald's French fry mini bot with the wedge. And the Combot Crusader, I don't know if we're going to be able to take that thing. Maybe we'll throw it across the arena wall and just rip it apart since it's plastic, but I do worry a little bit about that robot wedging us around, getting in our way. It would be very annoying, especially with such a delayed system like we have with the, I wouldn't say such a delayed system, but just by design, a delayed system with the telepresence robots. Thankfully, we don't need to worry about drive. That's why we went with the full body spinner. As long as we can keep it in the middle of the arena and maybe get the teeth between that mustache wedge and Mr. Roper, we'll be able to do some damage and turn some heads here. Hey, Ethan W. Hey, Pravin Kumar, fellows that joined the Instagram live. We got some people piling in now, some numbers. It's good to see y'all. I'm glad y'all are here for this. But I'm not just here to say I want to fight the fun robots. There are some meta vertical spinners here at the bottom too that I also wouldn't mind fighting. We got Smack-A-Lantern, who appeared at NHRL January, I want to say. 4-wheel drive robot, wedges on the front. Kind of a small spinning drum, if I gotta say. But a beautiful paint job. I love the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern livery. It looks the part. It looks awesome. 4-wheel drive. But I will say, would be a fun fight. I feel like there's enough flat ends on this robot, and we got those 2 wedges sticking out. Might be able to do a little bit of damage to it. I certainly would like to see it. And then, of course, I had a chance to meet Ashley yesterday from the Milk Tank team, from the NHRL staff team. She was super sweet. She got to see the first person, quote-unquote person, go up the cargo elevator. Her and Alex both welcomed me back into the pits after I got the tour of the arena yesterday. I got that on video. I really can't wait to show you guys all the footage I've caught from my TP robot over all this, because there's been so many amazing things. It's going to make for a great future video. Be sure to stay tuned for that. But yes, talking about Team Milk Tank, what about Vaca-Tank, the 30-pound version of the Milk Tank family? Not Milk Tank, not Milk Tankette. They are, well, Milk Tank is. I don't think Milk Tankette is. Milk Tank is at this event, and Vaca-Tank is as well. 2-wheel drive, spinning drum at the front. A little bit inconsistent in the past, but it is bulky, flat sides, big drum, a lot of things that I feel like would make for a really fun opponent for the Combot Crusader to fight. I think out of these 4, maybe I'm a little bit worried about Smack-A-Lantern and Mr. Roper the worst. I mean, probably if I had more confidence that we were actually going to fight at Project Liftoff, because obviously the pedigree that the Liftoff team has, Andrew Casimir and all those people, it would make for a fantastic fight, a true Beyblade battle, shades of Gigabyte versus Shredderator. But it might have to wait for another event. I guess we're just going to have to see what happens there. Mr. Roper, though, I think funnily enough, out of these 4 robots that we have listed on here, is the one I'd be most worried to fight, mainly because of that mini-bot. That mini-bot is a little bit terrifying. When I was going over some tape yesterday, watching some fights of Mr. Roper, of Project Liftoff, of some of these other robots in the field, I I just kept on seeing that mini bot and just sitting there thinking, oh God, if that mini bot just door stops us the whole time, I'm so worried. I fear that, but not as much as I fear these 4 robots, which are also in our bracket. Oh my goodness. So, as you see here, I mean, let's be real here. We know what a full body spinner's kryptonite is. Watch Hypershock versus Megabyte, you know. Watch Witch Doctor versus Captain Shredderator. We get flipped. We're kind of, and excuse our language here, we're fucked. Yeah, you know, we don't got no fancy self-right pull. We got no fancy self-right arm. We are a, like I talked about at the top of the video, we are a modified Jeep tire rim. We do not have such fancy means. We are keep it simple, stupid. The robot looks beautiful. Don't get it twisted. It works great. I got to see a video of it spinning up yesterday during the safety meeting. Thank you for joining. Corbin Reed, Adrenaline Guy on Instagram Live. Good to see you guys. And as we see here, we got a lot of vertical spinners. Vertical spinners with pedigree in this class. One of these 4 robots are certainly winning the class. I would love for it to be us. Don't get it twisted. That's certainly our goal today. But when we have teams from King of Bots, teams from BattleBots, teams from RoboGames, teams that have fought all around the world, have won championships at NHRL, we're in trouble. All these robots, super good. And let's go over them. Of course, Emulsifier, the 2022 NHRL annual champion, made it to the finals last year. Did super good. Had one awkward event. I think it was like in July where they almost didn't make the finals, but they did end up making the finals. Of course, driven by Matt Bors of Bots FC. And we got the treads. We got the big anti-spinner plow. We got that vicious vertical spinner. We could get deshelled by this robot. We could get deshelled by any of the robots you see on this page right here. This is a terrifying crop, a true murderer's row of machines. Emulsifier is just one terrifying thing, maybe the least, oddly enough, of all these robots, just because of the exposed treads. Though I say that like it's a disadvantage, like Emulsifier is slow. Barely anyone ever gets to those treads, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be that confident about that. One robot I would like to face, even though I would get ripped apart, is Plasma Gun. Not really much for new robots in the 30-pound class that actually have like some reputation and some pedigree behind them. But one of them is Plasma Gun, representing China. So let's talk about Plasma Gun real quick. This is the 60-pound version of Plasma Gun pictured here. This is not the actual robot. This is Railgun S. And if you remember Railgun S, you might know how good this robot is. Let's take it all the way back to RoboGames 2018. In fact, you know what? I can pull it up on YouTube. You guys hold tight right here. I'm going to look up Railgun versus Nighthawk. If you don't know who Nighthawk is essentially Paul Ventimiglia of Bite Force fame's signature middleweight. It is pretty much a 120-pound version of Bite Force built without the weapon. It's all control bot pretty much. Let's go ahead and go to our overlay here and we can see this battle. It's kind of peeping out from the underside a little bit, but I digress. This is Nighthawk and this is Railgun S, the 60-pound version of what is going to be showing up at Norwalk today. Now, if you know Paul Ventimiglia, you know he is arguably the Carlo Bertoncini of the 2010s of robot combat. From 2017 to 2020, he didn't lose one heavyweight fight. In fact, he only lost one fight at all from 2017 to 2020, and that was versus this guy right here, the driver of the Railgun line of robots. Railgun is still the most recent robot to defeat a Aptix design robot. It doesn't look like it from this picture right here. It's getting slammed to the wall, but it did end up winning this battle on a judge's decision. It's the real deal. If you don't know Chinese robot combat, and we have just been talking a lot about Chinese robot combat again on the Combot Collective since at Battle of Robots, our most recent video. If you haven't checked it out, be sure to check it out. We ran down Iron Scrap coming from Team ROC out of China, and that robot is an absolute killer. A robot that probably should be on BattleBots sooner rather than later. This is another team I would love to see on BattleBots, Team Railgun, showing up for the first time in the United States of America, this time with Plasma Gun, a two-wheel drive vertical spinner. It's going to be nimble, it's going to be compact, it's going to be super durable, and you need to watch out for it. And I need a drink of buble. Oh, a lot of talking, sports fans. And you know what's funny? We could have very easily drawn Plasma Gun for our very first fight, since we're both technically rookies here. And we didn't. Thank God we drew Project Liftoff 12. Hopefully there's no like reshuffle of the bracket and we end up fighting them, because that would suck. But I digress. We'll probably have to fight one of these robots eventually, so you know, I certainly look forward to the chance to see some sparks fly and some robots die, whether it be us or them. As we now move on to Vorion, talking about well-traveled teams. Bone Dead Robotics made a trip to the UK last year. Very exciting for them. They fought in, I want to say it was like a Robo Nerd event with Fracas. Did very well. Placed top 3. We talked about it on RCT way back in the day if you want to check out our channel archives. He even picked up some stuff. I believe they made like a 200, like he made like a 12-pound version of Zadkill, Brandon Bennett Young. Maybe it was a different team, but I think that was the same team. Recently competed at Motorama. Might be competing at this event as well. Maybe that's not accurate. No, I don't think they are there. I digress. He is going to be there with Vorion. And Vorion was such a fantastic robot last year. Really delivered. NHRL rank number 5 right now. Turned up, I want to say, around the second half of last year. It's pretty much a better version of the team's original 4-wheel drive vertical spinner phenomenon. We've seen it have some fantastic fights against the likes of Emulsifier, against the likes of Disinformation. Very solid robot, very well driven, has proven to be reliable in the past, and in fact, it's a robot which has once fought Team 57 in the past with Yamato. Yamato versus Vorion. I think that was a few events ago in the early rounds. I thought Yamato won that fight personally. Maybe we can avenge Yamato a little bit in a battle against Vorion. And finally, another brand new vertical spinner to this flock of robots is Catalyst 30. Sibling of Synthesis 30, we saw Catalyst make his NHRL debut at the New Bots event in the 3-pound class. It looked phenomenal. Made it all the way, I want to say, to the Elite 8 or the Final 4. It was my pick to win the entire thing. The robot looked phenomenal. Ripped apart a lot of very solid robots. In fact, did it win? Let me go to the NHRL wiki and find 2024 finals. Someone probably knows this and it's like, no, he didn't win. Oh no, it was Emulsifier again. Gosh, I really undersold Emulsifier. For some reason, I had a brain fart. Emulsifier is our back-to-back NHRL 30-pound champion. My apologies. I really undersold that robot. Vorion, number 5 overall ranked, so 1 behind it. Still as deadly. We very well could see Emulsifier and Vorion fight. But Catalyst, watch out for Catalyst, man. I think this is actually the 3-pound version. I think I put the wrong version up. I do apologize about that. But very much similar to Synthesis 30, very much similar to the original 3-pound Catalyst. This is just from Team Pandemonium. It's going to be a very, very, very solid robot. Look at that beefy plastic plow it has up front, that beefy front feeder wedge, that killer weapon. All 4 of these robots, we got 2 4-wheel drive verts, 1 2-wheel drive vert, 1 shredded vert. All these robots could very well give the Combot Crusader a run for their money. As much as I'd love to beat them, and we're certainly going to give it our best shot. But now, here is my predictions to win in all 3 classes. We already went over Promheta and Chainsaw Kitty a little bit. Chainsaw Kitty, it's a stacked field today, but maybe not the most stacked. I feel like there's a couple adversarial robots that may provide Chainsaw Kitty a little bit of issue. Maybe some of the new ones out there. Eruption may give it a run for its money. Caldera may give it a run for its money. Maybe even a underdog, a dark horse like Hurt Caboose. But I really do think this is going to be Keys of Skies moment today. At least make to the finals, so they can qualify for the NHRL championship. They're due. I think it's going to happen eventually. It's not a matter of if, but when. And maybe when will be tonight, this evening. We'll see it happening. For the 12-pound class, Promheta also, it's only a matter of time before that robot finds its way into the NHRL finals. Zach Knight behind the wheel. Upgrades, I'm sure upgrades have been made since the last NHRL championship in November. Very excited to see how that robot ends up running. Should be as consistent as ever. We'll see how it holds up against Maximizer and the like. That's really the only robot I can see giving it any sort of issue in this field. Maybe Blackjack if they stepped it up. Maybe Puzzle and Mine if they stepped it up. Maybe Tough Love if they stepped it up. Tough Love especially since that's their first opponent. But I think I'm going to go with a dark horse pick in the 30-pound class, and this might come to bite me in the ass. I'm going to go with Catalyst 30. Now, I would have loved to put the Combot Crusader right there in that spot, but I am a realistic guy. We are testing out science more than anything. We would love to win a championship here, bring home a little bit of money, get a golden dumpster, all of that, but we'll have to see. It's a very stacked field. Only 13 robots, maybe even 12 are going to be in this field, so we'll just have to see how it goes, really. I think the two-wheel driveness of Railgun is eventually going to catch up to it. Eventually, when you get to the later rounds and you're taking on machines like Emulsifier and Vorion. And Emulsifier and Vorion could very much win this championship. Probably have a better chance than Catalyst, but I wanted some sort of underdog pick. I felt like Promheta and Chainsaw Kitty were some easy picks. I wanted to get a little bit bolder with a 30-pound pick. And you really don't know what's going to happen in the 30-pound class, with it being usually the smallest class by quite a large margin. I guess we're just going to have to see how it goes. I'm super excited. I know I'm super nervous. I've been hyping it up. But, man, it really is going to be something phenomenal to get a chance to drive the Combot Crusader firsthand inside the arena. Here it is. If you guys haven't seen it yet, maybe you're tuning into the live stream late, as we have about 6 minutes to go before we wrap this live stream up and I head over to Norwalk to hang out in the pits with the rest of you guys. As I mentioned, 45 pounds, shuffling locomotion. It is a full body spinner, so we don't have to worry about driving accuracy so much. It is the first ever telepresence robot in the sport's history, and it will be fighting later today at probably somewhere between 9 to 11 a.m. from right here in my TCC Studio in Abilene, Texas. And before you guys go ahead and go over to the NHRL stream, let's talk real quick about some of the matches you should look out for the first few hours here. For the first time ever, we got morning qualifiers to watch, a new graphic, a new segment for Before the Havoc. And here's a little bit of a fight card of some of the exciting battles over the next few hours you can look forward to. And these are all very, very early round. And, of course, this doesn't guarantee that they are going to be on the main live stream. But if you know Brett Vision on the NHRL website, you can also check out all these fights over there. So we have, kicking off things pretty early, a battle of SSP kits pretty much, going at it, a Seth Schaefer showdown. We have Tomato Soup, one of the most successful SSP kits in the field right now. It is a mainstay in NHRL, always makes a decent run into the bracket. It is going to be taking on the founder of the SSP kit. It's Subtraction 2.0, Seth Schaefer, and Subtraction 2.0's debut at NHRL. It is going to be very curious. Are they going to run the horizontal spinner? Are they going to run the lifter? Are we going to see a lifter on lifter battle for the first ever match? For the first ever match between SSP kits at this event. It's going to be very interesting to see. Moving on down, we have another NHRL mainstay in Beetlejuice, a former NHRL finalist as well, I do believe. Horizontal spinner has the mini bot with it as well, not pictured here just because I didn't have the room. They're taking on Hyperdrive, a very beautiful robot, very sleek, friend of the Combot Collective. Super excited for this battle of green and red. Let's move over to the 12-pound class, though. Not too many exciting 3-pound battles. Of course, you always have so many newcomers in that class. In the 12-pound class, Maximizer versus Caldera 12. I made note of this battle earlier in the stream when we were briskly looking over the first round of qualifiers. This is probably the biggest money fight out of all these early round matches that we're going to be seeing during the first few hours of the NHRL stream today. Maximizer, of course, a former NHRL 12-pound champion. Caldera, a champion multiple times over, a finalist multiple times over in the 3-pound class. still making its shaky rise back up to a new weight class. Like I mentioned, Caldera 12 did not do too well in the 12-pound class at the new bots event last month. Maybe they can turn their fortunes around, but they are going to have to battle Maximizer first. Not the easiest way to start. 130-pounder that we haven't talked about too much, kind of unfair to them, is Animosity, a legendary 15-pounder in the sport. We made quite a bit of discussion about it during our last Before the Havoc for the January NHRL show. It is a undercutter. It is a kind of pussycat, kind of uppercut in the way that pretty much no matter where you drive it, no matter where you ram into it, no matter where you hit it, it's going to find a way to self-right. And that's going to give Catalyst quite a test in this battle of old school versus new school in the 30-pound class. Moving over to the 12-pound class again, Milk Tank versus Doppelgator. Jokebot versus something that's definitely serious. We talked about Gator Robotics coming out of the University of Florida earlier in the stream. Doppelgator is the real deal. Two spinning vertical egg beater weapons up at the front. Milk Tank, meanwhile, I don't know necessarily if that version of Milk Tank will be the one competing, but it will be some wacky version of Milk Tank. There will probably be balloons. There will probably be glitter. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have to see how that goes down with Milk Tank versus Doppelgator. Probably going to be Doppelgator. Let's be real here. We may very well see the University of Cincinnati versus the University of Florida at some point in the 12-pound class. A little bit of a Division I college action. You know, you'll love to see it. And then finally, the quote-unquote main event of the first round of qualifiers today. A fight that may not actually happen. The Combot Crusader versus Project Liftoff 30. Like we talked about earlier, if you missed it, Project Liftoff 30 probably has about a 10% chance of making it, given our discussion with the owner of the robot yesterday. They're putting a focus on the 3-pound robot and the 12-pound robot. I think it was like motor issues or wheel issues with the 30-pound robot that was keeping it from being officially locked in to compete. If it does make it, I'd be excited. If it doesn't make it, that means we're going to be fighting Mr. Roper, which is also something to look out for. Either or, the Combot Crusader is going to have a very, very fun first opponent. But guys, that's our battles we want to talk about there. Tomato Soup, Subtraction, Beetlejuice, Hyperdrive, Maximizer, Caldera, Combot Crusader, Project Liftoff 30, yada, yada, yada. Our predictions, of course, I got Chainsaw Kitty winning the Beetleweights. I got Promhita leaving with Pardware in the Hobbyweights. And in our class, the 30-pound class, the Featherweight class, I think it's going to be Catalyst, but I would not be surprised to be wrong. Finally, we're done. We've wrapped it up. Hour and a half up, hour and a half down. The sun is now out. That wasn't the case when we started the stream. And it is 8 a.m., guys. So NHRL is officially starting live. I would suggest you all to go ahead, go over there. I mean, I'm sure you are. You're watching this show. Why would you be watching anything else after the fact? Am I right? But I digress. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This live stream, I guess I should say, at the Combot Collective. Whether you be on YouTube or Instagram, we had a good handful of viewers for this one, which was kind of fun. I felt like I was actually talking to someone this time. That's always a good feeling. It's also kind of a side note. First time ever, people are actually able to see this wall in the office and can see my cool picture wall. So that's a fun thing. But I digress. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure I'm going to see a lot of you guys inside the NHRL pits. I'm sure I'm going to see even more of you guys on the table at Norwalk Havoc. I'm sorry, at National Havoc. That's what it is now. I got to watch myself. National Havoc Robot League. I might be on the stream itself. No super spoilery surprises there, but I'm excited. I'll let you guys go, though. We want to see Roomba versus, Roomba versus Wormhole. So let's get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching the Combot Collective. We will see you all next time for our next video. I think it's going to be the BattleBots tier list video. I'm not certain about that. Maybe it'll be Robot Combat tonight. I have a few videos I'm working on. I haven't decided which will go out first. I'm not trying to push them out like that, like I used to. Not trying to give myself that pressure. So we'll see what happens. But I digress. You guys enjoy Norwalk Havoc. Enjoy everything. Enjoy the Combot Crusader. And wish us luck. We might need it. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching the Combot Collective. And I'll see y'all at the arena.